Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney.
And I'm MK.
And MK, how are you today?
Well, so Courtney has already heard this, obviously, because we're here. So for those of you in the internet world, I had a malfunction with my computer today and panicked and did not do the rebooting steps to fix my computer in the right order and lost every single file I had on my computer from the last year and a half. Which included 3 unedited episodes of this podcast. So, I'm thriving, honestly.
Yeah, we're fine. We're
Doing
fine.
great. Yeah, no, so I've cried a lot today. I was snowed into my house for the 4th day this week. I have another snow day tomorrow. I was supposed to go back to classes for grad school today. That didn't happen because we're in a blizzard.
Sure.
So everything is going really well for me.
I love that for you.
How are you?
I've dissociated. It's everything has gone wrong today in all of the facets of my life. So I've dissociated so that I can be here and be happy. So instead of talking about my life today, because I'm pretending like it doesn't exist, I'll tell you about yesterday. I finally, 5 years later, saw Hadestown.
Oh. Well, because on one of the podcast episodes that you will never get to see because it doesn't exist anymore, we talked about Courtney having seen. What show did you see last weekend?
Spamalot.
Spamalot, yes. And we went off about Brendan Urie and Jonathan Bennett and Clay Aiken. So
Michael Urie.
That's not Brendan Urie, Michael Urie. That's the words that I meant to say.
Brendan Urie did Kinky Boots.
Yes, he did. But he's not Michael Urie. So you will unfortunately never hear the raw joy of that conversation. But instead,
okay,
you get to tell me all about Hadestown.
So I'm one of those people that's obnoxious. I get it. Let's start there. I don't want to listen to the music until I've seen the show.
So you've never heard any of it?
I haven't heard any of exceptions. Wicked and Hamilton.
Well, those are my exceptions. Of course. To be fair,
I have now seen Wicked 3 times, but
the age we were when the Wicked CD came out and the distance between us and New York, there wasn't a choice.
Right. And so I was like, I'm never gonna, and it got me through law school. So it was necessary. And Wicked and Hamilton got me through law school.
Well, and Hamilton, you still have all of your internal organs, which is why you haven't seen it in your.
Right. I still haven't seen it. So yeah, it's on the list, but we'll see. But yeah, so Hadestown came out when I moved, a year before I moved here, I think. It came out around the same time as me coming here.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying the lottery because I don't think I've seen a ticket under $100 for Hadestown.
I believe it.
Outside of the lottery. And so I finally won the lottery for yesterday. And just so happens, Jordan Fisher is playing the lead role. So what a time to be alive. I have never seen him live before. And
I've met him, so it's lovely, but
I've seen him perform on the Macy's floats on the Macy's parade.
I hung out with him backstage for the Dancing with the Stars tour the year that he was on Dancing with the Stars. So I've never seen him perform as him. I've seen him do ballroom dancing. I've hung out with him backstage, but I've never gotten to experience all of that.
Well, I was it starts out. You've seen Hadestown, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it starts out kind of slower and they don't have that connection between the two main cast in the very beginning. And so I was this is weird. He's not connecting as much as she is. And I don't get it. I love his voice. And then you get to Wait for Me. Is the name of the song. And oh my God, the rest of the time I was just enamored. And Soleil
Um,
Pfeiffer, who played Eurydice, I can't ever say that right,
yeah.
blew me away. She was incredible.
Um,
Um,
First of all, the staging of that song, oh
cannot.
my God.
Yeah.
Honestly, the staging of the whole show is just fascinating. But the staging of that show, and all I have to say is, like, I'm not going to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but like, you will never feel as connected to lanterns in your entire life as you do during that
Yeah.
song. It's
Yeah.
like,
And I was in the front row on the right. So I was like Jordan Fisher bowed in front of me. Like that's how close I was. I could have just
fuck
like
me.
touched him. And so it was I could see everything, which is great because I can't see anything. So it was nice to be close. And also
I
I
want.
was really bummed. What?
I was gonna say I'd be interested to see it that close because I've only ever seen it from a balcony, so like I can see
Mm,
everything happening at once, which is why I like balcony
well,
better.
I
But
got covered in smoke from the stage
yeah,
for like a third of the show, which
yeah,
got old. But
yeah,
otherwise, and I was really bummed because Ani DeFranco starts in February, and I wanted to see her as Persephone, but instead I saw Betty Who, which is also nothing to like, you know, laugh at. Like it was so fun. It's like it's clear she's a musician and not an actress, but she
yeah.
still did incredible. Like, and it was really fun. So
When I saw it, it was obviously the national tour, not the Broadway, because I only see national tours. But the girl who was Persephone on the national tour was one of the she was the Mama Troll in the Frozen tour. Um,
okay, so besties,
and
you knew her well.
yeah, well, and she was one of the covers for the main girls, which
Mm,
was fantastic because when she got to go on, it was one of the first times that there was African American people as the sisters. It was great. Um,
yeah.
but she blew me away. I
Yeah,
love
it
that
was an
role.
insane cast. Like
Ugh,
Philip Boykin played Hades, and then Lillias White played
Hermes.
Hermes. And I
Gosh.
wish I could have seen Andre DeShields. I just wish I could have. But
Yeah.
if I can't see Andre DeShields,
So
Lillias White was the way to
when
go.
the original cast left, the one I was the most upset about was Patrick Page as Hades because I didn't think anyone
Yeah.
else could ever do that. And I think that everyone else who has done it has done a great job, but no one is Patrick Page. But the other one that I was really upset about was Reeve Carney because he just was, um, why did I just completely lose his name?
Orpheus?
Yeah, thank you. It was not in my brain. But he was Orpheus and he had been it through all of the out of town and everything before
Mm-hmm.
Broadway, and he just like had connected to the character so much at that point that I didn't know that anyone would ever make me feel the way he did. And then I saw just one single TikTok of Jordan Fisher singing Wait for Me, and I was like, I will never be the same human being again.
Yeah, I'll tell you the couple beside me, the girl, I don't know, the guy disappeared, I don't know. But the girl was talking to me and she said she saw the OBC and then she saw last night and she
Yeah.
was like, I saw original Broadway. She was like, and they were great. She was like, Jordan Fisher is the best person I've seen on the stage. And I was like, it was,
Yeah.
but like, she's not wrong. It was,
Jordan Fisher does
although I
things
did
to
leave and just text Noelle and I was like, Mim will always disappoint you. That was my review of the play.
it's yeah. Um Dan didn't know the story when we saw it. I
I
did.
didn't either.
I mean, I do nothing with my time but watch videos of Broadway and talk to people and work backstage. So like I know things, but Dan did not know the story at all. That was one of the hardest things to sit through next to him because he was so upset. Like, and I was sobbing, obviously, and he
Yeah.
just like couldn't. It's so funny because he has a very hard time watching men on stage do things that he could never fathom doing. Like the two shows that he had in our season last year that he had the hardest time with were that and Tina, because
Oh,
he didn't know how
that was
bad
rough.
He did not know how bad Bobby was
Mm,
in real life. Not
mm.
Bobby, Bobby's Whitney. Ike. He didn't know.
Close enough. Same
Yeah,
same diff.
same thing. But he did not know how bad Ike really was. And so he like at one point leaned over and was like, "Is this all true?" And I was like, "Yes. Yes, it is."
Bless him.
And he was like, "Oh." And he was very uncomfortable. And then he was very uncomfortable in Hadestown because he like could not understand why that would be the choice anybody
Yeah.
made. Like he just
Yeah.
like
Tina ruined me and I knew the story. Like I know what happened. Like ugh, that was a tough one.
no,
But yeah.
this weekend, the show that I get to see because I work this weekend, if the show doesn't get canceled because of snow, fingers crossed. But I am working Girl from the North Country.
Oh, who is any of the regular, I mean the original cast on Broadway? I mean on national tour?
I don't think so. I will pull it up though. But then we will probably talk about Broadway forever if we don't move on. It's fine. But no, the national tour cast, if you could, they had to cancel the show tonight because of the weather, and I'm like nervous about what the rest of this thing is going to be. Um, I just realized I don't know who the original
Oh,
cast of
here, let me
the
look.
tour was or the original cast to even tell you. So that didn't
I
so,
was still working at the bar then.
oh,
So,
okay.
and Noelle worked COVID safety for that show.
Right, right.
Girl from North. Look, I know we're talking 7 years about Broadway, but we are coping right now. So
This is the only way that we get by.
this is our coping time. So thank you for joining us for that. Um, where is the list? Do you have the list?
I have a list of the current tour cast.
Oh, I think I found it. In Paul, Blankenship, Flash, Lady Brooks. None of these look original. But I'm sure they're
No,
incredible.
yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know if any of them look.
John Chapa sounds familiar, but I don't know. I don't think it's from this show.
Jennifer Blood was um in what well, she was Miss Honey in Matilda on Broadway.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Um, oh, Kelly McCormick was in Carousel on Broadway.
I did
Um,
see it.
I a lot of these are actually from the Broadway cast, but like
Yeah.
the smaller roles.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah. It was a good cast and they were nice people. They came to the bar a lot. And Mare Winningham was the lead in it when it was here. So sorry.
yes.
But because she blew it out of the water. Like, I mean, it's Bob Dylan, whatever. You'll have fun.
I mean, I'm just so the man who's playing Dr. Walker
Mhm.
was in the original 1991 Miss Saigon. And he was in M Butterfly and Jerome Robbins Broadway. He was in on TV. He was on the show Leverage. He was on Law and Order SVU, Gotham, like a bunch of stuff. I'm very excited to meet him.
Oh, John Chapa was in Wicked and Take Me Out, so it's possible I still haven't either of those. Um,
David
oh, and he was on The
Benoit.
Good Fight. So yeah,
Yeah,
you're gonna have a good show.
it's gonna be
I
great.
can't wait because you haven't seen this one, right?
No, I don't.
Well, tell me what you
This one
think.
I don't know anything about it, so it'll be
I can't wait to hear.
interesting. What do I work next
Yeah.
week? I just realized that I also work next weekend, which is not for this show, and now I am like, wait, what am I even working? because I'm obviously working this show this weekend, but that means that's not what's there at the theater next weekend. I promise this will be the last thing that I have to say about. Oh,
We coped.
I'm working on a show called Girls Night Out. I'm gonna hate it. It's gonna be miserable, but at least it's at 7:10, and I like the people who work at 7:10. Like they're my people. So
That's nice, yeah.
yeah, I can go hang out with Bob and Kevin and Craig, and all they can also hate it with me, and we'll be fine.
Great. Hello, Bob and Kevin and Craig. I hope you're listening. Have a great show. Break a leg. Um, yeah. So now that we've done our best to bring our own spirits up, it'd be nice if you just add a little huzzah to that.
I opened my phone to look at my collection of quotes that make me happy, and this one was listed as the funny quote of the day for today. And I don't usually do funny quotes. I try to like at least lead toward inspirational, but today's funny quote of the day just said, "My life needs editing."
Mm.
And I was
Yeah.
like, that's where I'm at right now. So I'm just gonna go with it.
Totally fair. Totally fair. I feel that to my core.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, today, for our second time, your first time, we are talking about, as you can imagine, American Horror Story Asylum, episode 2. And it is called Tricks and Treats. It aired October 24th, 2012. Happy birthday, Mom. In
Happy birthday,
2012.
Mom.
It was rated 8.3 out of 10. The number one song was One More Night by Maroon 5. The number one movie was Argo. The number one book was The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. And then on this day, Hurricane Sandy hit Jamaica, which we will be then mentioning probably for the rest of the next 6 months. I don't know.
Yeah.
It took a toll. It took a toll.
Especially, I was in college and I was dating Brent, and his birthday was that week, and I was supposed to go to New York, but everybody was so worried about Sandy. And then the next like 3 weeks of my life were just overwhelmed by stories of rain and damage and awful.
Yeah.
So
hurricanes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was also the birthday of Drake and Adrienne Bailon. It is also United Nations Day.
Adrienne Bailon, I just learned literally this week that is not her last name anymore. Because she's married and she does actually. Is it? Am I thinking of this correct person?
I think she still uses it because she was just on Masked Singer like 3 seasons ago.
No, she doesn't, though. She uses her married last name. Sometimes she hyphenates them, but her IMDb says Adrienne. It says Adrienne Houghton, which was very confusing to me because we watched Cheetah Girls 2 for Elizabeth's birthday movie, and then I looked something up and I was like, who the f is Adrienne Houghton?
She wasn't in this.
No.
Oh, I had no idea.
I literally just learned that on Sunday, so.
Well, good. Now we have it for this episode, and we didn't before. So we have new content for you.
True.
Our director is Bradley Bucher, who we have spoken about before. Been there. He's done some other stuff. Our writers, James Wong he wrote this episode. Again, we've talked about him before.
Yep. And
editor Adam Penn, who we've also talked about before. So a lot of returning team members. So today, for our star of the week, which is what I'm just calling everyone because we don't have time for guest stars in American Horror Story, is Lizzie Brocheret.
Brocheret, yeah, that sounds right.
I was like, I looked this up before I said it last time, and now I forgot to.
Yeah.
Lizzie Brocheret, who plays Grace. She is known for Rings, which is somehow related to The Ring. Came out in 2017. Maybe it's like a triple sequel, tri-sequel.
Yeah, it's the trilogy. I don't know. The end of a trilogy.
Like a triquel.
Yeah, I don't know. It is. It's like the third movie in the Ring series, but it's terrible. It's not good. I don't know that from having seen it because I will never see it. Because as I mentioned the first time we recorded this episode, The Ring is the one horror movie that I will never watch again because I'm
Right.
sure it's not as scary as 12-year-old me thought it was, but it fucked me up in a way that I'm never gonna recover from.
Yes. So
Um,
PSA, we will not be covering The Ring.
Yeah.
I might watch it and post it. I watched it on Instagram at some point, but
yeah.
as
That
of
would
now,
be-
it's not happening. Otherwise, mine is probably that we will probably never watch Jeepers Creepers.
That's
Although
fine.
with enough prodding, I could because Justin Long is in it. Be
Right.
coerced into watching it again. But 8-year-old me really struggled with it. So
Yeah.
those can be on our do not watch list.
I
D&W.
almost wouldn't watch S. Darko when that came out, the sequel to Donnie Darko. It wasn't great.
I
But
didn't even know there was a sequel.
yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't as bad as critics made it out to be, but it wasn't great. But his sister, Samantha, asked who was the main character of this movie.
I haven't watched Johnny Darko.
Okay, well, Donnie is Jake. It's fine. Donnie is Jake Gyllenhaal's character. His sister Samantha is the main character of the sequel. In the sequel, she was played by Devea Chase, who
I thought you were going to say Maggie, and that would have been fun.
no, she did play a sister in the original though. But Devea Chase, who was the voice of Lilo and of somebody.
Samara.
No, but we just talked about another voice acting that she was that
The
like
Ring.
makes. No, I know voice acting though.
Oh,
There's somebody else that she did a voice acting with that makes this all even weirder, but I can't remember it. I just read a fact about it the other day, and then we talked about it on Monday in the episodes that are lost to the world. But
it'll come up. Don't worry.
She played Lilo and the Samara from The Ring, and so I almost couldn't watch S. Darko because it was her. Like that's how much The Ring fucked me up.
That's so funny. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I'm gonna watch it one day. It's on my list of shows I want to watch. I just haven't. She's also known for Full Contact, American Horror Story, and Heavenly Vintage, which is a French film, and it looks to be about people who have a vineyard. Don't see a lot of darkness there, but looks very boring. But Vera Farmiga is in it, so I can't completely write it off.
Spirited Away.
You know?
That's what it was. She's the main girl in Spirited Away because we were talking about Studio Ghibli.
Right. Studio Ghibli. Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Oh, because I gave my Studio Ghibli update that I haven't watched. My Totoro friend.
My Neighbor Totoro, yes.
Yeah. And also some fun facts. She was actually born in Paris, and because of that, because of the way she portrayed this character in her audition, this part was actually rewritten to make her French. And for this part, she read Angelina Jolie's like monologue speech from Girl Interrupted.
Love that.
And they just fell in love with her. And then this became her first international recognition. Everything else she did before was like French films and stuff. So this is her first international. Hasn't seen a lot since then, but it's okay. We got time. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'll play up a roll next time. So now, as we do, we start exactly where we left off with Bloody Face chasing down Jenna Dewan and Adam Levine, who is still dying. We are just keeping the cycle going. And
yeah, but nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Just chasing, attacking. Looks like everyone died. And then we moved to 1964. So good times. I also didn't write when the credits were. I think it's after the 1964 bit though. So we're in 1964. We go back to Wendy, who is Lana's partner, and she is starting to regret all of her life choices, as you do when you put your partner in an insane asylum. So for no reason. So she has her like, I assume, couple friends, and they're chatting about it, drinking some wine, trying to decide how to get out of this. Obviously, she signed a lot of paperwork, so she can't really do anything about it, but she's now feeling guilty.
No, I have a question about her friends. Not that they matter, because I know they don't matter.
Sure.
I
have
but
all the answers about them.
my question is, if you live in this tiny small town that is so bigoted that you have to like pretend to be two maids who are like also like who are just roommates and like close your blinds and like work as a grade school teacher at a place where they care about your marital status, how did you find the two most crass lesbians to also be friends with, who, by the way, interracial?
Yeah. You know,
like not saying that those wouldn't be the kind of people she would be friends with. That makes sense. But like based on what we've seen of this town and the way that they have reacted to Lana and Wendy being gay and the way that they have reacted to Kit having a secret black wife,
right.
How did you find interracial lesbians?
Well, I can only imagine, and I know I'm 100% right, that there's a secret underground society. And it's for all the outcasts, and you have to be given a bid, like a sorority, to be invited. So like you can't just stumble in. And so like they were like, this Wendy girl, super lesbian, no question. Give her a bid. And that's how Lana gets in.
What do they do with the bid though? Like in sororities, they give you like a weird paddle with like a cute like letters on it and like a t-shirt that says I'm your big. Like what do
They give you a letter that has invisible ink on it. And only lesbians know how to do this invisible ink. Like they're the only ones that know how to read it.
The magical power of lesbians.
Right. And so you slide it through their little mail slot, because everyone has those. It's the 60s. And so you slide it through their little mail slot, and then they discover it and they just like know what to do. And
I'm just like picturing like a little elf in like orange and pink and yellow, like the lesbian pride flag, like dress, just running around town, sticking like Dobby sticking envelopes in people's mail slots.
Absolutely, that is exactly how it is. You've nailed it. Yeah. So clearly we're unhinged for this episode, so buckle up, because this is who we are today. But yes, so secret lesbian underground, that's how they found each other. No more questions needed. Right. And so feeling super guilty, and then someone knocks on the door, and they keep knocking and they just keep ignoring it. And I'm like, okay, at some point, it is the 60s. You have to at least like look out your door or pretend like you're not home. You can't just carry on a conversation. Like those are your two options. So finally, one of the friends does get up and go like open the door. Turns out it's the school trick-or-treaters, or the trick-or-treaters from the school. It is not Halloween, so she does not have candy. And
which I have two problems with that. One, why do your students know where you live? Two,
that's like the number one rule, right? For teachers. Like I'm not a teacher, but that's like number one.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it's weird. Two, why did you wait till the day of Halloween to get your Halloween candy? What the fuck?
Right. Also, like, why don't you have any candy? Like I currently have my comfort Butterfinger beside me, and it is not Halloween.
I have no candy currently beside me because all of my candy is on the first floor, but I can't guarantee that I won't between episodes go get it.
You absolutely will when you see me eating my candy without you.
That's true.
No question. Yeah. So no, she clearly makes bad life decisions. She puts her partner in an insane asylum and doesn't have candy for Halloween. So I don't know.
Stupidest person on the show.
Right. And so she wants to recant. She's decided this. Her friends leave. We move on with life. And then her windows that she has very meticulously never had open, because she doesn't want people to see in, wide open. No problems. And then Bloody Face busts in and kills her. So, his life.
We're doing so great.
And that's probably where the credits are, if I had to guess.
That makes sense.
I didn't write it down, but that's where I would have put them. So now we go to the asylum, where the real story is happening. Yeah. The real story. Everyone,
because all of the pre-credit scenes had nothing to do with the story.
No, none. Doesn't matter. Everyone's being pulled out to be searched for food violations, because they say that someone has had food. We've had incidents in the past, apparently. And Shelly is being like extra saucy. She is like on one today. And I mean, as she tends to be, but like extra.
Yeah.
So they go through Lana's bedroom and they search a second time just in case. Why just hers? Who knows? But they find the notes that she's been taking about the
Maybe because
asylum
she's a
because
fucking
obviously
sketchy liar.
she is a sketchy liar. But they find her notes about this asylum that she's planning to write up the piece once she's released, if that ever is to happen. We'll see. And
Good luck with that.
Right. So they take it. She's like, I need my notes. They're like, absolutely not. You can't have this.
No.
And so then Sister Jude goes straight to Dr. Threston.
Dresden,
My brain stopped for a minute. Dr. Threston. And is like, oh, no, sorry. She goes to Dr. Arden. I just put the doctor and I just assumed it was Threston.
Oh, yeah. We haven't met Dr. Threston yet at the beginning of this episode.
Sure have it.
Okay,
so,
cool. I mean, we have met him by the end of this
Right.
episode, so it's not
It's the next
spoilers.
Yeah, it's the next scene. Just let's jump back in time. So now she's talking to Dr. Arden and she's talking about erasing Lana's memories. And she's like, I know I've not been a fan in the past, but I think this might work. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And
we
she's
love
coming around.
We love a good like targeted electroshock therapy.
Yeah, because she's coming around on it now, as you know, you do. And so then we do meet Dr. Preston. We go and he's talking with Kit. This is before I realized what all of their names were in my brain, so I've just got them all as Evan Peters and Zachary Quinto. But Dr. Threston is talking with Kit, and he's like, you know, just because you're in here, you know, you haven't been fully like handled everything, you should still be able to have a cigarette. Like, we can't deny you of all worldly pleasures just because you're insane. Which, like, true, but
right.
Maybe cigarettes aren't the ones. But it's fine. That's fine. It's the 60s. And so he gives Kit a cigarette. They're hanging out. He's talking to him, trying to get a feel for everything, and Kit's just like, you know, I didn't kill anyone. He's like, I get it. They said I did, but I didn't do that. And and then we see that he's starting to kind of remember what actually happened. Just setting for him with the, you know, aliens taking his wife and all that. And then we jump over to Dr. Arden and Sister Mary Eunice, and they are talking about these woodland creatures, as I'd like to call them. And she's like worried about them, and she's like, what about this? What are we doing with that? What's really going on? Starts asking a lot of questions.
Right.
And he, to distract her, gives her a candy apple. And if that isn't symbolic of the snake giving Eve an apple in the Garden of Eden.
I would like to have an entire separate podcast just about the biblical symbols, like not a whole podcast, this podcast episode, just about the biblical symbols in this episode. This season, but this episode. And Monica said I should. She was like, if anybody could fucking dissect this shit, it would be you. But yeah, my first thought when I saw that was the Wicked Witch in Snow White.
Also that.
With the creepiness about it. Like, no, it's okay, honey. You can have an apple. So, but so much in this episode, and we will get there. I will have a diatribe at the end, but so much of this episode has so many biblical implications that are insane. And not just the comments on the Catholic Church and the asylum. Like that is its own. That's one thing. The biblical allusions are a whole other wormhole that I was not prepared for.
No, you save them all up, and then we will talk about it in the wrap up. I mean, you can mention them here too, but we'll have our own little section for biblical allusions in Asylum.
Perfect. Let me just start making notes about it then, because I'll forget them all by 13 weeks from now.
Right. You start your list, and I'm going to keep going. So in this exchange, Shelly sees them out the window, and she's Shelly, so she takes it all in. And then we go back to the common area, and Lana's notes have been removed. She's been, messed with in her brain. And so she's trying to remember. And she's sitting there and she's trying to write notes. She's trying not to forget anything. And Kit is talking to Grace and she's telling him, she's like, I know you're not crazy. You know you're not crazy. But the only thing to get you out of here is to fake crazy, because then you can plead insanity. You can do all this other stuff. Otherwise, they're going to send you to the chair basically, because you've murdered all these women that you haven't, but like the rest of them think you do. And then, he just keeps saying, he's like, I can't fake crazy. He's like, I get it. I understand what you're saying, but I can't do it. It's not possible. And then he's walking by Lana and she's writing, don't forget, all over her page. So bless her heart, she's trying. So we're back at Dresden and Sister June. And he immediately starts bringing up, like, he's really concerned about abuse and malpractice. Like, the asylum is not up to code.
Right.
I mean, again, it's the 60s. But he's like, even mentioning, he's like, this is not really how you cure homosexuality. Like, there's all these other things that are, like, not being handled correctly. And while he's 100% right in this is not how you do it, he's just not quite there. He's almost there, but he's not quite.
Yeah.
And so we go, and he's probably also gay, because one, he is in all of the seasons and in life. So I imagine he's also gay in this season, if I had to guess.
Well,
and so then we jump over to Sister Jude, who's talking to a new family, and she's like asking them about their son's condition because he's trying to be admitted today. They are telling him they start as John Mulaney does. 3 things you need to know about him. He needs to be admitted for chronic masturbation, for hearing voices and seeing things, and last but certainly not least, the father walked in to the barn where he had ripped out the cow's heart and was eating it. So, maybe that's not the order.
I had some thoughts about that. One, did we really think chronic masturbation made you insane in the 60s? I know that the 60s is a totally different time.
Yes. I have a fun fact for you.
No, please tell me, because I was like, I know that like that's a thing that was like that, like sexual liberation had not happened yet. Like I get it, but like, was that really like such a punishable offense?
Did you not know the creation of Kellogg's cereal?
I know the actual historical information about John Kellogg and like the like nutritional like elements and the like diets that he was creating, but the podcast that I listened to all of this stuff about was Stuff You Missed in History Class, which tends to make things as G-rated as possible. So it's as far as is possible, it is a family-friendly podcast. So no.
So I think it was shredded wheat, but one of the cereals was created to dissuade people from masturbating. And because I don't remember all the specifics, but I remember that like that's why one of them was created. And so yes, that's what we think in the 60s and prior.
Right.
But yeah, so that's an issue. Makes you need to go to an insane asylum. And the whole time, Dr. Threston has joined in and has some thoughts and wants to see him, and Sister Jude doesn't like this. She does not want him involved. And the family's like, we definitely want a psych involved with this. This is because you think your kid's crazy. You want a psychologist. Like, you don't want just a
100%. Plus, like, Zach Quinto, Dr. Threston, so charming.
He is. And I love him.
No, if that's a good thing, because it's American Horror Story, and that is what happens to me all the time, is I think things are a good thing and they're not. But very
still love
charming.
Zachary Quinto.
Yes, but like yes, true. But particularly as Dr. Threston, he like feels very much like I would want to tell him my problems.
Yeah. Yeah, but also if you think about it, like the comparison character is one of the guys in the gay couple from season 1. And he was not nearly as charming in season 1.
Oh yeah, no. That's very
Yeah.
true. I would not want
So
what was it, Brad? Was Brad his name,
I
or
don't
was Brad his
remember it.
partner?
Probably.
I don't know.
I don't
Whichever one.
remember.
I would absolutely never trust anyone with Zachary Quinto's season 1 character.
Yeah.
Let's be very clear on that.
So that's our character we're coming off of. Yeah. So yeah, even if, bad or not, better character.
Right.
But yeah, so we go on. We go in to see our friend Jed, and he looks super possessed. Like, we just finished The Exorcist. We know what possessed looks like now. And this
Right.
kid is that.
Correct.
So we go over
100.
to Lana and Grace next. And they are in these like baths that are like they have this cloth. I didn't do well explaining this the first time, and I'm not doing well either now. But they're like held down with like a cloth in these bathtubs.
Yeah.
And it's super hot. And they're chatting, and the friend just like has something. She has like the piece from the chessboard, and she just cuts it open.
She says Colonel Mustard in the library with a wrench and stabs through the thing with a clue piece, and I'm obsessed.
Yeah. And so she cuts herself out and then goes and cuts Lana out. And they're talking about it, and Lana's of course still trying to escape, and she's trying to talk about ways out, and Grace is like, there's absolutely no way. Like, I would know there's no way out. And Lana is telling her, like, I think there is. Let's do this together. Like, we can make this work. And Grace is like, I'm in, only if you let us take Kit too. Which Lana's not super on board with, because she thinks he's a murderer.
No, yeah, she's convinced he fucking kills people.
Yeah.
Which, like,
and maybe he does, but maybe he doesn't. Like, we don't know.
Right. I don't think he does, but like also
like all signs at this point are like pointing to him not being a murderer. Like, and she should be able to see that as a journalist, as part of investigation. Like,
yeah,
I'm just saying. But whatever. Listen to everyone else at the asylum that you already think are crazy. That's fine. So we go over to Dr. Arden and Shelley, and Shelley is trying to seduce him. And she tells him she'd do anything just to see the sun. She saw him with the candy apple and all this nonsense, and she's just like throwing herself at him.
Yeah.
And then we learn a bit about her past. And it turns out that she used to travel with a lot of like jazz musicians. And so she was kind of like a groupie for jazz, but like it was on her own terms. She was having a great time until she fell in love with the bass player.
Always a fucking bass player. They ruin everything.
Exactly. Ugh, every time. And so she gets like locked in with this guy, and he just like shuts her out from the world basically. And so she's not allowed to do anything. She's not allowed to like really be around people, but he is like sleeping around. No restrictions on him, sleeping with everyone. And finally one night he gets home, and she is cheating on him with a couple of guys. And that's how she ended up in this insane asylum, because she was cheating on him and he didn't allow it, even though he had been doing it to her. That's good. Double standards, our favorite.
I mean, we've already talked about how we feel about men in this show, so
sure. Yeah. Always a good time. So then we go to Dr. Thurston, and he's talking to Jed's parents, and obviously trying to figure out what the best solution is. When he learns the Monsignor has told them that they're all about to get ready for an exorcism because this is the answer. Truthfully, probably is. But at the same time, Dr. Thurston doesn't believe in any of that, and he's the doctor. But they've also decided that they want him to assist because he's a man and a doctor, and they don't want Sister Jude in there. So at this time, another priest shows up that's, I guess, a head priest. And he's ready to do this thing. So we go back to the common area, and Kit like sneaks in really fast and takes all of Lana's notes because they're talking about trying to escape, and she's like, no, we're not going to do this. But then they announce that people are coming, and he's taking it presumably to protect her because she can't be found with notes
Yeah,
on her
because
again about escaping.
she's an idiot.
She is an idiot. And so then they say everyone to bed early. There's issues, everyone's to bed early. And we go to the exorcism where the head priest has sent Jude out of the room because she's a woman and says she can't be in there. She has to go. So we're back at Dr. Arden, and he's on a date. And this is the worst scene in all of life right now. I absolutely hate it. It makes me want to stab him in the face. So he's on this date with this woman, probably a hired date, as you can imagine.
Oh
And
no, she says it's hired.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I said it like that. She's definitely
Yeah.
a hired date. And she's telling him, like, trying to like talk things up. And she's like, do you want me to like, dance? Do you want to do whatever? Like she's trying to play her part.
she's not even like a nice, like high level escort like that CEOs take to parties with them. She's like a
Right.
She's like a hit it and quit it kind of prostitute, and he is not doing that, and she's uncomfortable.
Yeah, because he's insisting they sit down and have this like date night first. And he pours her some wine, and she's like, I don't drink. She says her two rules. She doesn't get drunk, and she doesn't kiss on the mouth. Those are her rules.
Those are
She has to keep her wits about her.
valid.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally valid rules.
I personally feel that like there's other things that I'd be less happy to do with my mouth, but like that's why I'm not a prostitute.
Right. Like we are not sex workers for a reason. And
not because they're shame, because it's not about the shame or like shaming the community as a whole. It's me personally not something I'm particularly comfy with.
I'm not nearly agreeable enough as a person to be a sex worker. Like it's not for me.
I just don't want people who don't wash their balls near my face. I don't.
That's also very valid. Very valid. But yeah, so he starts getting slightly aggressive at this point because she's not just agreeing to whatever he wants. Because like, sure, there's rules for a reason.
Yeah.
And in the midst of all of this, he starts like cutting I think they're pot roast or something, some kind of meat. And he starts
some kind of a very raw meat.
Yeah, it was a raw
I like a good red meat, but that was something else.
Yeah. Yeah. And as he's cutting it and it's undercooked, he starts talking about bloody face out of nowhere. So what a thing to do.
Appetizing.
So we're now at the exorcism. And Jed's blood pressure is rising. Not a good sign in any medical situation.
No.
And they're trying to like pray at him, they're trying to talk at him, and he starts quoting the Bible back. And we always know that's a bad sign.
Yeah. Rule number 1 of when your exorcism is going downhill, if the demon is quoting the Bible back to you, you're fucked.
Right. Like you have no more control over this. They've been integrated. I forgot what the word was for a moment. Full integration. Call back. So Monsignor, so he like throws the priest against the wall, the head priest guy against the wall, and Monsignor says he may have to do last rites. And we both were confused. I thought that this was for Jed because I thought that they were like, he's got to go. We got to do last rites on him. And then Mary Kate saw it as...
I was pretty sure that it's because Jed knocked that paralyzed priest so hard that he was about to fucking die.
Right. So who's to say? Who's to say? Maybe both.
Everyone is dead.
Yeah, everyone's dead. It's fine. And then they step out of the room. Things are progressing. And Sister Jude is wandering around and sees that he's like panicking, Jed, the possessed guy. And so she walks in, or she bursts in to protect him. And the demon immediately traps her in there and starts talking about her proclivities, about her drinking and dancing with men and performing. And then we have a flashback. And Sister Jude is singing in a bar. It turns out that she is in love with a married man. We can assume it's love. Definitely into him. And
Yeah.
she's had a little too much to drink. She's been upset about this. It's raining. She gets in her car. Last thing you're supposed to do when all of those things are happening, and hits a young girl with her car and then drives away.
That was some crazy shit.
Yeah. And we come back from the flashback, and not only has this demon been talking about her past, but he also starts saying that the Monsignor and Sister Jude have something going on. And Monsignor is trying to, pull her back and protect her and whatnot because things
Well,
are
also,
awry.
yeah, he's protecting her, but also protecting the child who may still have a
Yes.
chance of being saved from integration because Sister Jude just fucking loses her shit and starts beating this child to
Yep.
death.
Yep. Which I mean, look, it's a demon. I get it.
Right. But we've talked about
And
this before. Where's the line between the
there's no way
person?
to know. And the demon, yeah, there's no way to know. I think integration is too late, but I didn't see a third eye, so
Right.
could have still had some flexibility there. And then Dr. Dresden gives him a needle. So that's good. That's promising. So then we go back and things are amiss in the beds. All the doors have opened because this demon energy has set everything off. And Lana and Grace run for the tunnels. And Sister Mary Eunice has gone to get Sister Jude because things are a mess.
Yeah.
And Kit at the same time runs into Grace and Lana, and they're all ready to escape. Lana
Fucking bitch.
decides she still thinks that Kit is a murderer. And instead of just escaping and getting out of the asylum, she starts yelling for help and that Kit and Grace are escaping. What a traitor. So they immediately pull Kit to the ground and start beating him up.
And
Bloody and
not
bruised.
only is it she a traitor, she's also stupid because she fucked her only chance for herself too.
Yeah. Like, she could have gotten out. And were he the killer, like, they could still get him back, first of all. But she also has the story. She will be able to get to people to tell them that she needed to be safe. Like sure. Maybe he killed, if, assuming he's bloody faced, maybe he kills one or two more people. Not great. But if you're trying to think about yourself, this is not the way to do it. So you're screwed. So then we go back to the exorcism. Everything is also crazy here. And he sits up. Sister Mary Eunice walks in, and the last look as he takes his last breath is at Sister Mary Eunice. And she falls over. She passes out.
He dies, the crucifix falls off the wall, and she blacks out, which is a pretty
So
solid sign that she is now possessed.
that your girl's possessed. Yeah. So then we go to Dr. Arden, who's still with his date, and he's had her dress up as a nun, which is just so icky. Just so icky. And
Hate it.
she's sitting at the vanity getting ready, and he's like, "Are you almost done? Like, hurry up, blah, blah, blah." And she's, taking her time, super chill. She sees this box, she opens it, full of pictures of bloody girls. They're all tied up different ways, they're dressed in different ways, some nuns. And at this moment, she knocks, he busts open and she knocks the box to the floor. He immediately starts threatening her. So he's like telling her, "You have to get on the bed. Like, I'm going to tie you up." He goes to get her on the bed. He tries to rape her. She bites him and she runs the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for her.
Right.
Getting out. So then we go back to the asylum, and Sister Jude is telling the parents that Jed died because, of course, she's the one who has to break the news, even though they didn't want her involved. So then we go back to Dr. Arden, and he is looking over Sister Mary Eunice, who is in the bed, and her thigh is showing. So he covers her up because he's clearly having impure thoughts. And she wakes up and she's like, "Oh, it's just you." And then he's like, he's like, oh, sorry, I didn't want you to think anything uncomfortable was happening. And she tells him, she's like, oh, I trust you. It's fine. It's you. No, last person you should be trusting, girl.
No,
Last one.
literally the last.
Yeah, so fine. And then he tells her to rest, and she starts asking about the creatures. And he's like, oh, it's so sweet that you like think of these creatures. But he's also like, she's unclothed in different places and she's showing a little risque skin. So he's staring at her and she goes, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, let me cover up in your presence. And he's like, it's fine. The human body is just a machine. Sure. That's clearly what we've seen from you in the past.
Right.
And then again, the cross starts shaking on the wall. So good signs all around. So
fantastic.
Our last scene is with Sister Jude and Lana. And Sister Jude says she's given Lana a reward for calling the orderlies last night when Kit and Grace were trying to run away. And her reward is them bringing in Kit and Grace. And Sister Jude asked Lana to pick a switch, which switch to switch them with. And she doesn't want to do any of those things. She doesn't want to switch them. She doesn't want to pick anything out, but she does anyways.
Right.
And just as they're about to start their lashes, Kit tells Grace to stand up, and he's like, no, we're not doing this. He's like, she's a pawn. She doesn't know anything that's going on. It's all me. And like, he's like, I'm the only one who deserves to be punished. She's not it. And Sister Jude's like, okay, you know what that means? That means 20 for you, 20 for her. So now you get 40 lashes. And that's important because
it's important because in the Bible, Jesus, before he went on the cross, received 39 lashes on the back. And in Roman times of crucifixion, the most anyone would ever receive was 39 because there was a belief that the 40th would be enough blood flow to kill someone quickly. So like 40 was literally like not a thing that happened.
Yep.
So
that's good. And that's where we end the episode. So who do you want to punch in the face?
I don't remember who I said last time. Probably Dr. Arden because he's a fucking creep.
You said last time.
That's true.
Yeah. Correct. That is correct. That is the best answer.
Yeah. That's right. I think when we recorded last week, I was like, I'm on a streak and I've picked Dr. Arden up every time that it's possible to pick him. That makes sense. Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yes. Spoiler for next week. He still sucks.
He still sucks. Yeah. So because you went with Dr. Arden, I picked Lana for ratting everyone out. And God help me, she's the worst.
Yeah.
So who is your MVP?
Kit, because he stood up for Grace and took the punishment himself. And I truly, based on like his interview with Dr. Threston and the way he's acting, like I truly, genuinely don't believe he murdered anyone.
Fair. Because you went with Kit, because I also would go with Kit. I'm going with Dr. Threston because he is trying his best to figure out what to do about this abuse and malpractice at this asylum. And he's clearly way in over his head, but he is trying his darndest. So I have a couple of fun facts for you. We do see Pepper on another season. So this is just her first season, but not her last. And it's the character, not just the actor. And under canon law, an exorcism could not have taken place the same day as admittance. So Jed would have had to wait until the day after he was admitted before he could be exorcised.
Also under canon law, it is necessary to rule out any mental health implications, meaning that there has to be a overseeing doctor who has determined that the patient is viable for an exorcism. But there does not need to be a practicing doctor in the room of the exorcism because that's actually thought to be more dangerous because it means that that person is susceptible to the demonic energy and getting hurt when they did nothing wrong. So, the whole making Dr. Dresden stay in there with them does not make sense.
No.
So
We clearly did our research at the end of last episode, so now you get all the research. Yeah. So that's what we have for you.
yeah.
Next week is Halloween,
Woo.
which is exciting.
Yeah.
I can't wait. We can't have predictions. Sorry. Mary Kate knows what happens next.
Yeah.
So no predictions this week, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's Halloween. Join us.
I mean, to be fair, most of the things that I predicted when we originally did this didn't change in the next episode because it's American Horror Story, and why would I get answers to my questions immediately? I still think Kit is a good guy, and I still think Dr. Arden's the biggest piece of shit on the show. So like that surprise, that probably won't change in a week.
Yeah. So stay tuned to find out. But in the meantime, if you want to talk to us, you can email us deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can find me at CECloud13.
And you can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And we will see you on Sunday for Sci-Fi Sunday.
Bye.